Business Brain, episode 512 for Wednesday, January 3rd. Happy New Year 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we discuss them, so that each of us, you, me, him, all of us, can tune our business, easy for me to say, tune our business brains together and really kind of focus on living that charmed life. Sponsors for this episode include gusto.com/businessbrain, where you go to get 3 months of payroll, benefits admin, and more totally free. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. Happy to be here. Happy New Year. And it's great. We have Gusto Payroll. We're going to talk about payroll advances in the intro. So I wonder if they offer this, one of the things I'm going to talk about. But I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, man. So talk about this. You found an interesting thing about payroll advances.
Yeah, so we've done some shows in the past about, one of them was episode 240, about how do you handle, I've never owned a company with employees that at one point somebody didn't need to borrow some money.
Interesting.
It just happens. My car blew up, whatever. I'm moving and I need an advance because I need, to pay deposit, whatever.
Sure.
There's always a reason.
Yes.
And so one of my follows on X is he fancies himself as an independent hotelier, which I like.
Okay.
And
Airbnb?
No, he owns a hotel.
Oh, he actually owns a hotel. Okay,
he owns a hotel. Yeah.
Okay,
and so Pratesh, which we'll link in the show notes, he posted a long thread about struggling with payroll advances, and he mentioned a couple things which I just love. That one of them I knew about, but one of them I did not, and so I thought it'd be worth mentioning to our listeners today.
Yeah,
a little bit more. What you would kind of anticipate with your payroll company is that more and more payroll companies are offering advances.
Sure.
So you don't have to do it, and the employee can reach out to the payroll company and get an advance from them, not from you, right? So there's always a solution. You don't have to be the bad guy to say no if you don't, or pick and choose. Because the problem with advances is once you start doing it, you can't pick and choose who you do it for, or you get to pick it. It's subjective, right? And people get upset. And especially if you have entry-level employees, that I would imagine maybe some of these folks fall into that category a little bit more.
Yep.
So I love this concept of turning it over to the payroll company and say, there's a process right within payroll that you can go apply for an advance, and they'll manage it for you. I'm sure there's some fees involved. Obviously, or they wouldn't do it. So I thought that was a great way to that kind of punts it down the road, right?
Yeah.
To someone else.
Yeah.
But the one thing I really liked, which I was not aware of, was called on-demand pay.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I only from you, but I did find, and to be clear, like Gusto is our sponsor for this episode. They did not seed us with this topic.
No,
it just so happens that we had this in the thing. But I did find a page on Gusto to see how they do it. They've got this Gusto wallet app that employees can open an account through and do this, but then they also in this article talk about on-demand pay.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain what that is?
Well, I don't know a ton about it other than basically as you work, you can access your pay, your salary. So, work a day, get paid if you need the cash or whatever. You don't have to wait 2 weeks or whatever your weekly or biweekly payment is, monthly, who knows. But with the app that these payroll companies are using, I think it's terrific. Now, from a business owner, I don't know, how do you manage your cash flow to that, right? That's a little different because, we always manage cash flow. Okay, we got payroll with this business on the 15th or payroll on the 10th or whatever. Yeah. So you're anticipating those things. I don't know how it impacts your cash flow from a, if your employees are tapping into that a lot. Is the
all
payroll,
the time. Yeah. This is a rolling, it's essentially, net zero.
Yes.
cost structure. Yeah.
And so I don't know, and I'm going to reply to this this post on X that Pritesh did.
Yeah.
Ask that question. Say, hey, how do you manage toward the cash flow aspect if you have all of a sudden half your employees go in and want to get their 20 hours or whatever of pay? So
right.
Good question. And I just thought it'd be a good intro topic if you're listening and you use on-demand pay or you have a payroll advance feature in your payroll company. Reach out to us, feedback at businessbrain.show. We'd like to learn more and share it with our 5,000 or so folks that download this show every week.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, now it is time to talk about our sponsor, Gusto. And, you probably are like us and you didn't get into business to run payroll, right? If you did, you started a payroll company. But for every single one of the rest of us, we did not start a payroll company. And we really didn't want to be in the business of doing any of that in the first place. And that's okay, because now there is our sponsor, Gusto. Gusto not only offers payroll, but also benefits, onboarding, and HR all in one place to more than 300,000 businesses. So maybe you want federal, state, and local payroll taxes to be filed automatically no matter where your employees work. I deal with this, and it's such a headache to do it the manual way, because you've got to, I've got people all over the country, and you got to file with each state as their unpaid steward. Well, Gusto is here to help with that. Or maybe it's time to offer a 401k plan to help your employees save for retirement. Compliance with different regulations. 3 out of 4 employers say Gusto makes it easier to be compliant with the government. And that's never easy. So that's amazing. With Gusto's simple, guided software and user-friendly interface, payroll and HR are no longer this exhausting thing. They are rewarding. And if you want all this and more with no hidden fees, you get to try it out for 3 months free at gusto.com/businessbrain. That's gusto.com/businessbrain. That way they know that we directed you there, but also that way you get your 3 months free. You got to check this out. So amazing. Again, gusto.com/businessbrain, and our thanks to Gusto for sponsoring this episode. Shannon,
nice.
I found a really interesting thing that is going to impact pretty much all of us, or at least all of us who have like LLCs or corporations of some sort that aren't just our Schedule C, right? That we're filing as a self-employed person, and that is what we are calling FinCEN. And FinCEN is it's the FinCEN's beneficial ownership information sort of mandate. FinCEN stands for the government's, it is at fincen.gov, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And all of this starts...
just the type of entity I want to be associated with.
Oh, yeah. If I ever got a letter from something that was called FinCEN, I would be panicked. Oh my gosh, what did I do that caused this, and did I know that I did it, right?
Did you know you're a criminal? Right.
Did I? Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Are you a criminal? That's it. Right. So here's the thing. This started on January 1st, 2024. And if your company existed prior to that date, you have until January 1st of 2025, so almost a year, to file with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit. And we almost all of us are going to have to do this. If you run a nonprofit, maybe not. If you run a publicly traded company, almost certainly not. But what they want is beneficial ownership information for your LLC or, subchapter S Corp or, your C Corp, even assuming it's not publicly traded.
Right.
They want this. So this is very similar to what your bank every bank now requires for the KYC, the know your customer things, right? Where they want to know who owns more than 25% of your LLC. Now, the thing, and all of this sort of makes sense when you read their explanation, which is they want to make sure that, it's to help stop money laundering and all the same reasons that the banks want this information. And the banks don't actually want it. They are mandated to collect it. It's really what it is.
Get it. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. And so like all of this makes sense to me. And I looked through some of it and it doesn't seem like it's overly burdensome reporting other than it's yet another thing you got to send in. But the part that's weird to me is, isn't this already on our tax returns? Like as part of the K1s and like when you file the 1065 form for a partnership, like all of the owners, whether they're 25% or 1%, are listed on there.
Yeah.
And so I don't get it. Like,
I don't get it either. And now if you open or start a new entity after January 1st, 2024, am I right in that they're going to capture all this information in some new system when you like start an LLC, this kind of thing?
Believe that's right. They will give you, they said if you already have a company in existence, you have a year essentially, to fill this out. If your company comes into existence after this point in time, sometime in 2024 or later, then I think they will give you they'll send you a notice and tell you you're on a 30-day clock or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, there are just tens of millions of entities, LLCs, and things that are going to be out of compliance with this, right? I mean, it's.
Well, I mean, I am at the moment that this, that started, but of course we have the grace period of a year.
Of a year. So I wonder if they, and I have that same question. Why can't they access that information already without having us have to go up and file some kind of thing? And as we're recording this, that filing isn't available because we're recording a little early due to the holiday. But by the time you listen to this, you'll be able to go. It's fincen.gov.
Yeah. And so what I think is we will each as individuals have to go and register with this system. So this is the difference. If you are a member of an LLC, you have to go as yourself and get a FinCEN ID. Then the LLC attaches to.
Okay.
And if you are, so I'm starting to understand this as I'm digging in, and I'm hoping you folks, somebody out there must understand this better than us, because that if that's not the case, then that would surprise me. But but the idea is they want to make sure they can ferret out people who are using shell corporations to hide the actual ownership of a company or other entity, so that because that's the path that a lot of money laundering uses, right? Is you've got layers and layers of shell corporations. So the idea here is that if you are a member of an LLC as an individual, you go and register yourself as an individual, and then that ID number attaches to your LLC. If you are a company that is a member of an LLC, right? We could, it could be that my Dave the Nerd LLC owns my shares of our Business Brain LLC. It's not Business Brain LLC, but it could be that way. It's actually not, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so that company would then need to register for a FinCEN ID. But I would, if I owned all the shares of the Dave the Nerd LLC, I would have to, so they can easily in a database trace it back, because right now on our tax returns, there's no
connection.
There's no connection. It's yes, everything's listed, but you might have to go through 14 layers.
They do it. Don't you think they should do it for companies that are, I don't know, $1 million, $5 million, I don't know, $3 million or more in revenue? Or you think it doesn't matter? They could hide it with all this different stuff.
I mean, I think if they did that, then what you would do is start a new company
every time you hit that number.
Every time you hit that threshold. Yeah. So this is their way of, they probably asked that question, Shannon. Would be my guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
Smarter. Much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't like to be associated with any government entity at all.
No.
To me, this is one more burden that I've got to go up, and I'm responsible for doing it, or I'm breaking the law, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's just one more burden on small business owners that have to keep track of a mountain of paperwork that I guarantee you I am perpetually out of compliance with.
Yes.
And so, but I guess if you're starting a new entity, then it makes sense because it just becomes part of the process. Yeah,
it's just the process. Yeah. And my guess is once we I have 4 LLCs, 5, something like that, whatever.
Same.
So I'm going to have to go and register myself, obviously. I'm going to need to make sure my partners register themselves. So Shannon, consider this your, first request.
Thank you.
Yep.
I get my 1099. So.
Yeah, exactly. But then hopefully after the first year of this, the onboarding, if you will, it just becomes, that check the box. Is it the same? Yep, it's the same. Okay, great. You're done. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is actually what they're saying on the surface it is. Yeah. And now I know how databases work, and I know how human nature is, and once we have data, we use it for different reasons than we initially said, and perhaps even initially thought we would, right? So I don't like that this database is going to exist. I don't do any money laundering.
Correct.
I'm wondering if somehow this will make getting a bank account easier. If all of this stuff, could I say, oh yeah, here's the, tax ID of our business. They check it with the government. The government says, yep, that business is totally in compliance. And now the bank's done. They don't have to do this. That won't happen.
Yeah.
By the way. Efficiency is not a thing, but
they have an interesting flow chart, but that kind of walks you through whether or not you are what they're calling a domestic reporting company.
Yes. It's going to be most of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Well,
fascinating though.
It is fascinating, and I'd certainly like to learn more. Those of you who are in this kind of compliance space, if you know more about it, feedback@businessbrain.show. Or you can go up on X and, post or send us a message at BizBrain Show.
That's us.
Handle up there.
Yep.
Love to hear from you. Remember, we're all here to help each other grow our business brain. So share your knowledge. And
please do.
We'll spread it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he said, feedback@businessbrain.show. And go check out gusto.com/businessbrain. Get those 3 months free and enjoy. Keep on living that charmed life. We will see you on Friday.